After Portugal's first game of the Euros, where they fashioned a very, very late last-minute winner to beat a tough and stern Czechia team, there were some pretty decent performances all around from Portugal, because believe it or not, I thought Portugal were actually pretty okay. They weren't amazing, but they weren't horrible. They played a decent enough game. It's just that they rarely struggled to break down Czechia's very stern and very narrow deep block. I thought Pepe and Ruben Diaz were pretty good at the back. I thought Bruno and Bernardo both had their moments. And yes, I even thought Ronaldo was pretty good. He just wasn't really given enough service, but Ronaldo did hit the post and played some good overall football. But the performance that stood out to me was the performance of the man of the match in 24-year-old Vitinha. Vitinha, who looked like a guaranteed failed wonder kid at one point after an atrocious stint at Wolves, looked pretty mediocre at Porto at times, and looked pretty okay at PSG, but nothing special in his first season. There just wasn't much hope for Vitinha to become a superstar, but after this season at PSG, where he was selected in the UEFA Champions League Team of the Season, and after this performance in the Euros, my faith and my belief in Vitinha has risen tenfold. And in a world where everyone is talking about Jude Bellingham, Musiala, Ødegaard, De Bruyne, you name it, Vitinha may just be one of the most slept on and underrated midfielders in the whole world. But why do I think this? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, if you just looked strictly at stats, Vitinha would not only not jump off the page at you, but statistically Vitinha would actually be pretty bad. I mean, you wouldn't think looking strictly at stats that Vitinha is all that. In his entire professional career, where he has played for FC Porto, he's played for Wolves, and he's played for PSG, Vitinha has scored a measly 16 goals and got 14 assists in 175 professional games. Really not amazing statistically. And after his loan stints from Porto to Wolves, where Vitinha rarely failed to make a noticeable impact at Wolves, I started kind of questioning if he would ever fulfill his potential. But after that loan stint, he returned to Porto and became a mainstay in the title-winning team, seeing Porto finish with 91 points, which is the most any team has ever won Liga Portugal with. And after such an impressive season with Porto, a year after being kind of underwhelming at Wolves, the 22-year-old midfielder was bought by PSG for £34 million. And at PSG, Vitinha instantly became one of the first names on the team sheet, featuring in 48 games that season for the Parisians and starting in 40 out of those 48 games. He also broke into the national team, playing in 10 games, and he was very, very impressive in midfield for PSG in his first season. But the next season, being this season, he would take it all up a notch. This season, Vitinha has been one of the better central midfielders in world football, and he seems to have gone completely unnoticed by the vast majority of football fans. He again was one of the first names on the team sheet for PSG, playing 46 games this season, just 2 games less than last season, yet improving his goal output from 2 goals to 9 goals, and improving his assist output from 4 to 5 assists. Vitinha was absolutely brilliant in PSG's title-winning campaign in Ligue 1, but he was even more breathtaking in PSG's semi-final run in the Champions League, and he rightfully got included in the Champions League Team of the Season, being the only player from PSG to do so this season. And this season, Vitinha also showed his versatility, playing games as a box-to-box midfielder, playing games as an attacking midfielder, playing games as a holding midfielder, even playing games as both a left winger and a right winger for PSG. And if you were to watch Vitinha, again, he may not get tons of goals or get tons of assists from midfield. He may not pop out at you statistically, but if you were to watch him, the eyes don't lie. Vitinha is so tactically and technically good that watching him is just beautiful. He is so sulky on the ball, he has really good playmaking, and he just does the simple stuff so well, yet his footwork, his dribbling is just out of this world, that honestly watching Vitinha is just beautiful to watch. This may sound crazy, but when he plays, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Bernardo Silva the way he plays. I mean, he's a very good dribbler with some beautiful footwork, and he's an extremely good passer of the ball, good in the final third, and I mean, he even has a decent defensive work rate. He just reminds me a lot of Bernardo Silva in the way he plays. I'm not saying he's as good as Bernardo Silva, at least not yet, but just the style of play reminds me a lot of Bernardo Silva. Vitinha is such a gifted midfielder. Honestly, if you haven't watched him play properly yet, go watch him. You will not regret it, I assure you. And I'm so glad that Porto and PSG had the faith and the patience with Vitinha. I won't lie. After his very, very underwhelming loan spell at Wolves, where he played just 22 games, I was quite quick to write him off, thinking he's going to be a failed wonder kid. He's never going to live up to his potential. I just was very quick to write him off. But Porto and PSG kept their faith, kept helping him develop, and he went from that failed wonder kid to one of the most slept on and one of the most underrated midfielders in the world. And he's now a mainstay for the Portuguese national team. And at the age of 24 years old, Vitinha still has enough time to progress, to become a better player and a better midfielder overall. PSG, to get Vitinha for just £34 million, looking back at it now, is actually a steal of a signing. And I'm pretty convinced that if Vitinha was playing in, let's say, the Premier League or La Liga, he would have a lot more media coverage and he'd be a lot higher rated by the majority of football fans than he is now. The only thing is that he plays in Ligue 1, so there is quote-unquote Ligue 1 tax. But when he plays for Portugal, he is just as good as he is with PSG. So I don't think it's necessarily Ligue 1 tax that makes him look so good. I just think he's a really talented footballer. Again, a really good dribbler, some beautiful footwork. Honestly, watching him play is just beautiful football. Vitinha deserves every bit of credit he's getting right now, and he is genuinely one of the most underrated players in world football at the moment.